Good evening from Istanbul, Turkey. This is Josh Friedman coming to you on a Sunday stream, perched above the Golden Horn here in Istanbul. You've got quite a view in the background today, or I've got quite a view in the background today. I hope you're enjoying the view as well. To those of you who are and will be tuning in, right behind me is the metro bridge with the Haliç stop right in the middle of it. Istanbul Metro goes across that bridge, and Haliç is Turkish for golden horn. So I guess I'll try to stand up and show you to some extent. The waterway right here is, well, I'm pointing the wrong direction. That waterway right there is the Golden Horn, and off back around here, which you don't see so clearly, but that's the Bosphorus with Asia right there. What I'm pointing at is Asia. So Bosphorus splits Europe. The Golden Horn cuts. The Golden Horn is this inlet behind me that actually splits the European side. So over here, which maybe you can see the Galata Tower is right there, a famous tower here in Istanbul. There's also a Galata Bridge in the background of this picture, although you don't see it as clearly. So this is the European side, and where I am right here and right here is also the European side, but it's split by the Golden Horn, with the side I'm on at the moment basically being the old town, and the side over there being the new town. This old town area, or Fatih, or the peninsula, it has many of the old sites and the major attractions like Hagia Sophia, like Met Mosque, like the Grand Bazaar, and then over across the Golden Horn you can find Taksim Square and Istiklal Street and a lot of the popular neighborhood things to do and a little more nightlife over in the new town. And then Asia, that's across the Bosphorus from here, and the Sea of Marmara, it's right there as well. It's really incredible setting here in Istanbul, and it gives you a bit of a picture of why I spend so much time here. A lot of it is indeed because of the beauty. I love being in settings with water. I like being by the sea, which I forgot to mention, the Black Sea. I can't really point there, but yeah, the Bosphorus splits the Sea of Marmara and the Black Sea, which the Black Sea isn't really bordering the city of Istanbul, but it's basically bordering Istanbul. The city spreads on and on and on, and if you travel the length of Bosphorus and hit the Black Sea, you're not really in Istanbul proper, but you're still in the Istanbul region. Nonetheless, it's an incredible setting, and that gives you somewhat of a picture of why I like spending so much time here. Although there are other major reasons, such as the history, which I've delved into in quite a few videos in the past, and of course the newsworthiness of Istanbul and Turkey in general. And I guess we might as well get into some of the news coming from this region now. Granted, most of it's not coming out of Istanbul, but a lot of it is coming out of Turkey, or having to do with what's going on in Turkey. And if you're tuned in at the moment, if you would, please let me know whether the volume is okay. I'm holding the mic close to me. I know there's a lot of wind, or at least there's some wind. It gets a bit windy out here. So yeah, if you're tuned in, I would appreciate if you let me know whether the volume is okay. As for world events, I guess there's a lot of discussion at the moment about Thank you for the commenter. Moment about the Baghdadi raid. So, according to Donald Trump, who just delivered a speech about it, U.S. forces went into northern Syria, not too far away from Turkey and not too far away from where I just was in southern Turkey, right by the Syrian border. Anyway, they went into the Idlib region of Syria and took out Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS, who, according to Trump, during the raid ended up committing suicide and crying and whimpering, and I forget what other words Trump used to describe it. I haven't really evaluated the situation in depth. If anyone has any comments or would like to chime in at all about the Baghdadi situation, I'd be glad to hear what you have to say about it or what you're thinking about it. There have been quite a few cases in the past in which Baghdadi's death was reported or speculated about, and I guess that's going to cause some people to question whether indeed this is real news that Baghdadi has actually been killed. There are probably quite a few skeptics who are wondering whether this isn't just a fairy tale and that Trump isn't just reading off of some script or repeating some story that someone concocted for him. But I don't. Ozone saying great. Great with regard to what? Anyway, but I don't have any actual Melissa saying, hey Melissa, this is, I don't know if you were tuned in at the beginning, Melissa, but for the first 3 or 4 minutes, I was pointing out everything in the background with respect to where I'm situated in Istanbul at the moment, and the Bosphorus and the Golden Horn. You're saying no, just got here. Well, if it's getting a little windy, I hope the volume's still okay. But yeah, so when you catch the replay sometime later, you'll get to hear and see. But I might delve a little bit more back into that over the course of this stream, since I know you requested a bit more on Istanbul and some more footage of Istanbul, which, by the way, I've teased it. Are you by Ataturk Bridge? You know what? I never knew the name of this bridge, but did you meet the new mayor yet? No, I have not met the new mayor. That would be pretty cool if I could meet Ekrem İmamoğlu. I was here when he was elected the second time. I was not here when he was elected the first time. I was back in Africa then. But yeah, I covered the rerun Istanbul mayoral election that İmamoğlu won. That was back in June. You know what? I think this is that the Ataturk Bridge? Whoever was asking the question, can you let me know? I never knew the name of that bridge. So I guess it's in similar fashion to the Bosphorus. There are 3 bridges. I think you can meet him on Tuesday, which is Republic Day in Turkey. All right, I'll try to look into that. Although I don't know if he's going to make a point to meet or do an interview with me, but we'll see if we can make that happen. So there are 3 bridges along the Bosphorus now that allow you to cross back and forth between Europe and Asia. And there are 3 bridges right over here in the Golden Horn. There will be concerts, etc. There are 3 bridges right over here that cross the Golden Horn. And the first one is the Galata Bridge, which I briefly mentioned, with the Galata Tower. Oh man, I'm bad at pointing. There's the Galata Tower. And the Galata Bridge is in the background. The Haliç, the Metro Bridge, which I've already talked to you about, that's the main one you see in the background. And then right here is a one that's just vehicle traffic going back and forth, and that might be called the Ataturk Bridge. Could someone fact check me on that? I think it might be, but I never knew the name of it. Yes, exactly. If you're on the historic peninsula, that must be the Ataturk. Yeah, so exactly. I am on the historic peninsula, and I am situated just beyond or right above this bridge, which is just beyond the metro bridge. And I hope it's not going to get too noisy in the background right now with the evening prayer. You know what? I didn't show you some of the buildings over there that gives you somewhat of a picture of how Istanbul is modern and not just old. I don't know. I thought I might point that out. All right. If for whoever wants more about the picture and the setting and the background, feel free to chime in and I'll talk about it. But I guess getting back to the news, I don't have reason to question the Baghdadi story. I'm not saying that everything Trump said is true. I don't know, but I mean, it probably sounds more plausible than some of the previous times in which Baghdadi's death was reported or claimed. And I've seen some people saying that the U.S. has claimed that he's been killed a bunch of times before, and I'm not so sure if that's true. There have been conflicting reports. Sometimes it's, we think he might have been injured in some raid, and then maybe the story changes. But yeah, there's been a lot of speculation thrown out around the years over whether Baghdadi was killed or injured in various raids carried out, or not necessarily raid, airstrikes carried out by multiple countries, I should add. I think it's come out in Russian or Iranian state media or both that maybe because of their own military's work that Baghdadi was possibly killed before. There sounds like there's more substance to this story, but then again, I'm not just gonna believe it just because that's what the President of the United States has to say. And I'm not on I'm not on the Baghdadi trail. I'm not heading over to northern Syria right now to investigate it, but it is the news of the day, so I thought I'd bring it up. And for whoever has any comments or questions about that, sure, we can go there. I thought we'd expand on last week's conversation, intended or not, about Syria and Turkey and the Kurds. I do remember getting one question last week, someone asking me, so do the Kurds really feel that they're abandoned by Trump and the US? And I don't think I really addressed that in depth. I think I brought up last time something that gets overlooked quite often, is that there are Kurds who hold a whole variety of viewpoints. And I think I brought up last time that some Kurds over the years have, a percentage of the Kurds, I don't know about how much, but have supported Erdogan, and some even continue to do so as he's carried out much harsher policies and even military operations against Kurds. But then, yeah, there are plenty of Kurds who do feel abandoned and very upset with Trump. I haven't gone around town doing a whole lot of reporting this week. I haven't really been doing reporting here at all. Kind of preoccupied with other things, which I might get to on this broadcast, or I might discuss in vlogs from Istanbul in the coming days and weeks. But yeah, I talked to some people, and I heard, for instance, one fairly typical Kurdish sentiment, which is that the YPG was putting everything on the line, fighting ISIS, and came to the aid of the US in the fight against ISIS, and came to the aid of all these countries in the fight against ISIS, and then no country, no government ever sticks up for the Kurds. And I do believe that there are many Kurds who hold that sentiment, and in line with that sentiment, I think there are many Kurds who do feel that Trump has abandoned them. But as I said last week, it's Not all Kurds think alike. Not all Kurds are supporters of of the YPG and the PKK for sure. That's not the case, but many are. I think it's interesting how now, comments saying the Kurds in Turkey and even more so in Istanbul won't have a similar stance on the issue as those in Syria, I think. And that unfortunately is something that I can't really speak to because I've never stepped foot in Syria. I'd love to. I've been very close to Syria on a couple occasions, but I have never stepped foot in Syria, so it's a bit of a challenge for me to try to convey to you the viewpoints of Syrian Kurds. I have traveled across Turkey and spoken with, wasn't Saladin a Kurd? As far as I understand, yes, but I'm not a history buff. So maybe someone wants to elaborate on that. What I was going to say is, so a couple of weeks back, or a few weeks back, when the military operation got underway, I was interviewed on We Are Change, and then again on a World Alternative Media, and definitely in the We Are Change interview, I was talking about, well, it's unclear what Trump's really up to, because in the past he'd said we're pulling out of Syria, and then it doesn't happen. So when Trump initially came out with the announcement that Turkey's gonna invade and the U.S. is gonna pull back and stand by and not get involved, I said, well, let's see, because Trump may say something one day and then things could change quite soon thereafter. And to some extent, it did. So Trump has said repeatedly, we're pulling out of Syria. Yet the troops U.S. troops have basically been rearranged in Syria. They haven't pulled out. But what I think is now happening is there's starting to be some clarity on the matter of U.S. involvement in Syria and in the region. And it's kind of hard for there to be clarity when Trump is so often clashing with members of his own administration and Washington at large over the issue, with Trump favoring a more withdrawn policy and most people in Washington favoring a more hawkish, more engagement. But there seems to be some middle ground, and that middle ground, as peculiar as it may sound, seems to be that Trump wants troops to guard the oil, and Washington wants troops to guard the oil. So there now seems to be some clarity with regard to U.S. role. There seems to be some direction, some that maybe there's not a consensus on, but there's somewhat of an agreement or a compromise on within Washington. So I was listening to much of Trump's speech today or much of the Q&A thereafter, and when reporters were quizzing him after the Baghdadi speech, when reporters were quizzing him about the continued or lack thereof U.S. role there in Syria, he is going back to this line of there's not an entire pullout, which is a bit of a change actually of his rhetoric, but that the troops are going to guard the oil. And then he goes on and on about how he predicted back with Iraq that the invasion was a bad idea, but if you're going to go in, then you should take the oil. And I know this is very controversial. I'm not here to advocate for U.S. troops doing anything for that matter. This isn't an advocacy broadcast. But I do think it's worth noting now that there is some clarity on the matter, that Trump is not actually going forward with a full withdrawal. He has walked back that statement, although at the same time he's walked it back in a manner in which he's consistent with a policy that he's been advocating for a while. Does anyone have any comments or questions on the situation at large in the Middle East? I don't have an agenda for this broadcast. A lot of it is just me going with the flow, but I thought because of the Baghdadi issue and because of what I've been discussing lately and some of what I've written about, last week I recently wrote a Bulgaria Analytica article about the relations between US and Turkey and between Trump and Erdogan, especially as they relate to the Syria situation. I thought, since I've been discussing those topics a lot lately and their recent developments, even as they relate to Baghdadi, and because I'm here in Istanbul, I thought I might continue on with that. There was one point, I don't remember if I brought up, and by the way, if you want me to point the camera in any sort of direction, I might as well just do that right now. It is so beautiful at this time of day here in Istanbul. I don't know if there are any comments coming in. I'll check. Yeah, so it's sunset. I've remarked before, once I was doing a video on the Galata Bridge at sunset at the end of a trip across Turkey. Oh, Melissa's saying gorgeous. Oh, Rob's tuned in. Hi, Rob. Thanks for tuning in. Always a pleasure to have you on this broadcast. Yeah, it's just incredibly beautiful here. And as I was saying, that's one of the reasons why I spend so much time in Istanbul. Yeah, so I was remarking once when I was doing a video on the Galata Bridge. So, all right, the Galata Bridge is back behind this metro bridge, and I was looking out at the metro bridge, and I was saying that's one of my favorite places to catch the sunset. Actually, the spot I had last week might have been even better, and you saw the sun setting in the background of the stream as the stream was going on. That was pretty fun. But nonetheless, they're incredible views everywhere. This specific location I'm at right now, it's not the greatest, although the place I'm staying right now, they've been incredibly gracious to me. And if they want me, if the hotel management here wants me to promote this hotel, I certainly will, but I don't know if they do. They've been incredibly gracious to me, and I truly love this view, so much so that I don't know if I could. I've already got other places booked, but I might have to just stay here because I really love the view. On the Asian side. Yeah, so I spend almost no time on the Asian side. And by the way, how do you pronounce that area on the Asians, the Üsküdar, or how do you pronounce it? I think it's near Kadıköy. But yeah, I need to go spend some time on the Asian side. The sunset would probably be even more magnificent from over there. But I just so much love the vibe, especially around the Sultanahmet area, although it's not for everyone, it's a bit touristy, but I really love the vibe of the peninsula. And for that matter, I like the vibe of a whole bunch of areas on the European side and what I guess you would call the Üsküdar. How's that? I need to work on that pronunciation. But yeah, I need to pay a visit to Üsküdar and hopefully stay there or Kadıköy. Üsküdar. Oh, my Turkish needs some work, but whatever. I'm learning a little bit, at least. This is an English-speaking broadcast, so I guess I don't really need to talk in Turkish. Where were we? I said I'm taking Q&A, so whoever has any questions, please ask them now, and I'll get straight to them. If you do have questions, if you don't have questions, that's okay also. And they can be about anything. It doesn't just have to be about Istanbul or Middle East or politics. It could be about anything. What? Yeah, so I covered that thing that I was saying about the sunset. And by the way, if you have any other requests for certain areas of Istanbul you would like me to show you, whether it be in a stream or on some vlog, you can type those into the chat as well, and I'll do my best to show you some, if not all, of those places. I have been. How's the weather? Politics is boring. So the seasons are changing. It's now getting cool here. Are you gonna post your videos from Darren Kuyu? Didn't I post my video? Yeah, I posted my video from Darren Kuyu a few weeks back. Just today I posted my video from Mount Nemrut, or atop Mount Nemrut. And hopefully this week I'll put out my video from Göbekli Tepe. And that about covers the ancient sites. Maybe I'll release something from Haran, but what I shot in Haran doesn't really do Haran justice. I need to go back to Haran sometime. Maybe right now, considering the fighting that's going on close by, it might not be the best idea. Thought there would have been more from Darren Kuyu. Well, there's more on your son's YouTube channel. Whoever goes to World Alternative Media on YouTube will see plenty of footage from Darren Kuyu, as well as from all these ancient sites in Turkey. As I explained on last week's broadcast, I was recently traveling around Turkey with Josh Sigurdsson, Rob's son, Josh Sigurdsson of World Alternative Media, and he's a bit of the ancient civilizations guru, and we visited these places. Darren Kuyu, Göbekli Tepe, Karahan Tepe, Haran, Mount Nemrut, and I've uploaded my vlogs from most of those spots now, but hasn't posted the cave city yet. By cave city, you mean that place we spent the night in some god-awful cave that they call a hotel? I don't know if that's what you mean by that. But yeah, so if you want to see the in-depth footage, that's all over on World Alternative Media, and I actually was filming a fair amount of that, including probably some of the best parts of the Darren Kuyu visit. But Darren Kuyu you can see on both my channel and on World Alternative Media. Those were exciting times. I always love my travels across Turkey. In fact, moving ahead, I really wouldn't mind having a home base here in Istanbul and being able to go back and forth between Istanbul and other locations in Turkey, or maybe even other locations worldwide, since Istanbul in a sense is if not the hub for worldwide air travel. It's just a thought. We'll see moving forward. Or if I were to be serious about it and to get residence, that could be complicated. But even if I do not have residence, I can still spend a few months or more here each year. You should visit the Southwest as well. Pamukkale. No way, you're from Pamukkale? Yeah, so I've never been to Pamukkale, which maybe the commenter could explain better, but it's this, I don't even know how to explain it. You walk through some water with this majestic white setting. I've never been there. Need to go there sometime. But yeah, there's so much more for me to see in Turkey, although I'm very grateful that I've seen what I have. I've seen a lot more of Turkey than most people in the world have, that's for sure. Satoshi says, hello, mate. Hello, Satoshi. Aren't you the one from Sweden, if I recall correctly? Cotton Castle, literally. Yeah. So Pamukkale literally means cotton castle, and I guess it looks like a cotton castle. Someday I'll go there, hopefully soon. Satoshi says correct. Yeah, you're from Sweden. They asked me how's the weather in Istanbul. How's the weather in Sweden? I think it's about 15 degrees right now. It's still quite nice during the afternoon, like 20 or so. Partly sunny usually, sometimes more than partly, but can't complain. I wake up and go to sleep to these incredible views, which I guess you're now starting to see a bit of the view that I go to sleep to. At least the view as I stay here, but the views all around Istanbul are incredible, and I'm trying to compile a bunch of photos, if not video footage, of views around Istanbul, which I don't know in what format I'll release them, but I'll release it somehow. Any questions? We hit the half-hour mark, so I generally wrap up the broadcast around here. You can see the sun is now down, rainy and around 7 degrees, waiting for the snow. I'm not waiting for the snow. I'm going to get the heck out of Europe before there's any snow. Or at least I'll get out of Istanbul before there's any snow, if there will be any snow this winter. Yeah, let's have a glance. The sun's down, and there's an ancient city called Hierapolis with an ancient theater. I do need to see some more of the ancient cities. I've seen some, I've missed others in Turkey. I can't tell if anyone's commenting right now, but I hope you guys like the view at dusk here. That mosque looks very nice, all lit up, as does the Galata Tower and the metro bridge. So, any final comments or questions before I wrap up this broadcast? We discussed a bit of the news coming from the region. Ancient history is interesting, but do you have any comments on mud fossils? I don't know anything about mud fossils, Satoshi. Sorry. In fact, I'm no expert on ancient history. I was just... Take care, Nomad Guy. You take care as well, Rob. I was just tagging along with Rob's son on the ancient history or ancient civilization trip around Turkey, but I had a blast, and it turned out to be something that I found to be very significant and a trip I was very grateful to be on. So maybe I'll study up and be able to discuss ancient history and ancient civilizations more in the future. But for now, geopolitics is mostly the focus of my reporting and of this channel. Could change, but we'll see. Any final comments or questions? If not, then I guess you guys know what to look ahead to. Show us City Hall and how Istanbul works locally. Make sure to check out WHAM. Yeah, World Alternative Media, that's what WHAM is. Yeah, more vlogs, and Melissa, you take care as well. I'm glad you got to see some of Istanbul and watch the rerun of the beginning of the broadcast. So yeah, more from Istanbul coming in the coming days. Don't forget, if you stick around until Tuesday. Oh yeah. So I gotta do something on Tuesday. And I missed one comment. I don't know anything about March 11. Yeah, so maybe I'll do something on Tuesday. Maybe not, we'll see. But thank you to everyone who tuned in. Actually, just now you're getting a better shot of the metro bridge after sundown. I enjoyed this format. I enjoy free-flowing a little bit and engaging with you and taking your comments and questions while showing you Istanbul. It's a blast for me. I hope you enjoyed it. More coming from Istanbul in the coming days on the channel. Thanks a lot. Teşekkürler Ardam. Güle güle. Goodbye from Istanbul.